Hello, everyone. I am so excited for this episode that we're having here, Sofia Mendoza. I'm so excited to have you, Sofia, here in the podcast for licensed psychologists. I almost forgot the name, but you guys heard the intro, so it's all cool here. And when I asked Sofia if she could be part, I've known Sofia for a few years now. She was part of the mentorship slash coaching program that I have rooted in rising, and most recently into the retreat in Puerto Rico, or the first one that I co-facilitated. And Sophia is like a fresh breath of air in terms of, creativity, curiosity, is a colleague, it's a mama, it's so many things. And I can't wait to have these episodes and talk about her journey, how she found out about creativity, her gifts, and also talk about burnout as therapists because it is real. So welcome, Sophia. How are you?
Thank you, Lidiana, for having me. I'm doing good. I'm doing really good today. Today's one of those days that like I woke up and I had to drop the car off at the dealership and stuff, but I feel really good in my body. Um so I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, that sounds like adulting stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, let
sometimes it
me
can feel grounded. Yeah.
right. Adulting, but um like also SoCal, it's been really hot down here this summer, and my AC has been going on and off. It's been blowing hot air, and it's actually the fifth time that I take it in because they're like, okay, we fixed it. And no, it keeps coming back. So it also feels like self-advocacy, because I'm like, and I'm not going to pay 1 cent more, so and then they actually gave me a loaner this time, so yeah, I feel good. I'm
Oh,
like bubbling a
good.
brand new car. That's not mine.
Yeah. That reminds me of the funny story when I picked you and Cynthia and Mia Michelle and
Oh
Maya from the
yes.
hotel. I was in my
Yeah.
dad's car and the AC was not working when you would be in the stoplights. And I was like, oh my God, they're gonna be like so annoyed because like Puerto Rico heat is no joke. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know how that. And I was telling my parents, I have no idea how you're doing this, but it's on to you because driving
Yeah,
with the car,
yes,
yeah.
you get, and you know what? Actually, one of the first times where, because I don't really, I do a lot of work from home, and so I actually have very low mileage on my car, but I drove to Las Vegas to see my sister and back, and I was so annoyed because it
Oh
was
my
really
God.
bad. And
Yeah.
from the road, I called the dealership like, I'm bringing this car in.
That is a long drive, like a 4 hour drive,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. But and as many times as it's been taking, I do feel like this really grounded sense of like, this is what I have to do. This is how I'm showing up for myself. And that self-advocacy. So and I take it to the same guy and I'm like, it's your favorite Forester again. And even
Yes.
his coworkers are like, oh man, what'd you do to that car? Why does it keep coming back?
Oh gosh. Well, I hope the AC works very soon and the
Yes.
loaner is giving you all that nice
Yeah.
AC.
Yeah.
We went right straight into it.
I
Sorry,
know.
guys. Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
it's all good. But
Because it relates to
oh
everything.
yes, it relates. It relates because I was driving and then it was raining there, and I'm like, oh no, we have to. Yeah, and there was a stop, but hmm, now formally, because I know I'm like Sophia and all that, but Sophia is a licensed clinical social worker, and if you can share us a little bit more, I mean, however you want to do, if you want to do formally or just informal or just
Yeah, yeah,
you, and about your
yeah.
services. Yeah.
So, like you said, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been focusing on mental health for the entirety of my career, really. I've been in community mental health. If you include my internships, about 16 years now. So I went from child therapist to
Mhm.
um a clinical supervisor, and now I work in a program that's more focused on like work related stuff, mental health barriers for employment. So I'm very much in that realm. I have a private practice. I'm also an author.
Yes, you are. Not only about one book, say all the books.
Yes.
Say all the books.
So I call it the Mending Roots Coping Guides collection. And it's about 33, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Some
Mhm.
of them are workbooks for children. They all have mental health themes. Some of them are reflection journals. Some of them are activity workbooks. And then a few are really just stationary notebooks with mental health themes or Latinx themes. Um, I really wanted to create something that I could carry around that represents me. You know, I've been talking about this on social media lately, how one of my dreams growing up was to work at Hallmark, right?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
greeting card company.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to be a creator. Ya me veía in my little cubicle. And I was just, I've always really liked clip art and stickers and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I think it comes from that, from that dream of really wanting to be a creator. And so, I have the notebooks too. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yes, and we're
then
going to put all the information in the show
yeah,
notes so you
yeah.
can access and buy and support our Latinx colleagues and authors.
Yeah. And then this past year, actually, yeah, like in the last few months, which is something that the mentorship program that you started helped. I actually started including mentorship services as well.
Yes.
And for other healers, therapists, to also create their own workbooks, create their own digital products, and mentoring them in that way. And that's been really awesome lately. I think there was a lot of fear,
Yeah, I know.
but I think I love it so much because uh just like you, Lidiana, I love seeing people. I love showing people their strengths, and I love being like echándole porras, and like, no, you can absolutely do this. Like, I have figured out a way to make it be really easy. There's templates, there's, and so that's been really fulfilling, really seeing people believe in their own medicina, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
putting it out in the world, because we need that. We need our voices out there.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
I got here a little teary eyed because I remember when you started Rooted and Rising, and I'm like, echándote porras a ti, kind of come on, you can do it, and seeing how you've continued to evolve in your work, which it was there. It's just like a little shaking of, okay, take the next step, take the next step. And
Yeah.
yesterday I was in I'm in a kind of, I think it's like a yearling. Yeah, it's a year program called Earth Rising by Mariana Rittenhouse. And yesterday specifically, we had a class with her, and she was sharing how as humans, our creativity is kind of like part of what makes us, it's very important. And
Yeah.
when we're not creative, and we're so used to extract from others, but if we really go within, we can initiate ourselves into our creativity. So what you're doing is this beautiful work that goes beyond, because it really, and how she was describing it also kind of combats a little bit, or not a little bit, it combats that colonization in that we
Yeah.
have internalized, of we just extract, when we really all have our own ways of being, and our own ways, creativity and all
Yeah.
that. So it's bigger. I know right now you probably are like, but it's a bigger thing, and I just want to bring that because it's very
Thank
important.
you. Yeah,
Very
no, it is
important.
important.
Yeah.
I didn't know how important it was, actually, until I started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was someone who grew up with just not a whole lot of resources. I used to call Michael's the rich people store. But
Yeah.
I remember taking socks and making my Barbie clothes out of them.
Mm.
I remember my little sister making a doll out of a a soda paper cup with tape, and that's creativity and action. I remember
Mm-hmm.
us, we didn't have Barbie cars, but we would grab the shoes and we would,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
would be driving the shoes, the Nike shoes. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I think about that time, and for a long time I didn't have hobbies because I just didn't really have access, or I didn't do the classes. And I realized when I graduated from undergrad, I went to my first job interview, and I don't typically get nervous at job interviews because I've always been like overperforming, and
Right. I know that.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
not for you, but I'm talking for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, always feeling like you're doing two times as much. And so, oh, that's a breeze. It was a data entry
Right.
job. It was a research assistant job. And so I was like, I got this in the bank. And they asked me, what do you like to do for fun?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really hard time answering that question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm.
realized that at that point, I mean, fun was spending time with friends, hanging out, dinner, partying. Uh, and so not to minimize that because that's so really important, social connection. But I realized that as an individual, as a person, um, I didn't really know what fun was by myself. And so that's when I really started thinking about what is fun? What does Sophia like to do when she's not in school? Because I was in school for
Mm-hmm.
so long. uh,
Mm-hmm.
and working and doing all the things to boost your resume
Right.
and and your personal statement. And yeah, it was this almost like this sadness of I don't know what other fun is.
Mm. Mm. As you said that the word that came is like following the American dream, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And I shared this with Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
She's also at the retreat. That being a first gen college student, um that was the chinga, and it was like constant, do this leadership program, do this academic boot camp, uh because the dream was you get college educated, and that's it,
Right.
and then everything will be fine if you're college educated.
Right. Right.
Like that was the pinnacle of success.
Right.
Never mind that it was a BA in psychology, and entry
Right.
level jobs are not that much, right? So then I would still have to go to graduate school. Um,
Yeah.
but it was the what comes after, what comes after graduation. Now what?
Mm.
And I think for so long I thought healing was getting a college degree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in reality, um, I realized that it actually made me avoid a lot of emotion.
Right, because you were so in the go, 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 you didn't have time to even have, I
Yeah.
mean,
And
like,
and so yeah, and so after that, that's when things started to unravel a bit, and me thinking of like who am I independent of this degree even? I am not my degree.
right.
And how elitist to think that my degree is what makes me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a hope for survival in so many ways, and that would quote unquote guarantee that
Yeah.
you will be able to get a paying good pay, get a house, the
Mhm.
family and the whole American dream.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Right. And so, it's funny. It was not funny that that's actually the population I work with. I work with first generation professionals in therapy. Que también they were like, now wait, now all this, what? I'm not healed. I'm this
Right.
person in this profession. I'm a doctor, lawyer. Like, how am I still having problems? Or how did these problems begin? And why am I having these feelings in my body, you know?
Mm.
Um, and so that's been very impactful as well.
Mm. And around when was the time that you kind of reclaimed the creativity and started doing things?
Yeah, actually, right after I graduated, I started crocheting. You know, some people conflate it with knitting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did remember I was in an after school program when I was in third grade, and I did learn how to crochet, but I didn't do too much of it. And so after graduation, a friend of mine was crocheting, and I said, I think I know how to do that. So I started crocheting,
Mm.
and I like did like tutorials on YouTube, and I would go to Michael's, the rich people store,
Uh-huh.
get the 40% coupon every time.
Right.
I said that's how they do it with the 40% coupon. I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Yes.
And so I started crocheting a lot. I started scrapbooking, which brought in like the clip art, the stickers, um and really just crafting.
Mm.
Crafting. It was almost like an inner child, like little girl crafting. I remember I made a little jewelry box.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not a great like drawer or painter, but in that moment I really do remember thinking, wow, this is something that the 10-year-olds do. and and I would make some, and my biggest thing was make stuff to gift. And so
Mm.
I started crocheting blankets and beanies um for family members. And so that, and then I started sewing.
Ah,
And then I went to
nice.
graduate school, and then I would make stuff to sell to buy my books.
Oh. Oh, there you go. So that's the connection of the books. Okay.
That's the connection. Well, no, to
Yeah.
sell my, I mean, I'm sorry, to buy my books.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, to buy my school books. I would
Yeah.
sell my crochet stuff and some little stuff that I would sew. I used to make these fingerless gloves, so people could still like type when they were cold.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
but I think being around creativity like that made me see all the things, made me see like pretty notebooks and
Mm.
journals,
Mm.
and but never feeling represented by them.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Never feeling represented by them.
Yeah.
And so then I went into grad school, and I remember my internships were in community mental health, and there weren't a lot of resources for our Spanish speaking clients. And so I got really used to kind of creating our own worksheets, translating them, but then like translating them to where our clients could understand based on like their educational level or their level of understanding. um and I think that's where I came in with like, I could do this, like I'm a DIYer. and
Mm-hmm.
and I started creating my own worksheets
That's where it
for
started.
my clients. And because I was working with children, a lot of crafting, you know, a lot of fun
Yeah.
in terms of the interventions. So I think doing that in that stage really gave me the motivation and the to say like, oh well, we've been experimenting anyway, so let's just put this together. Pero también the need
Right.
that, again, not feeling and not being represented, and now in our field.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
I see it also like that part of you tap into your younger when you also were not seeing
Mhm.
yourself represented. How
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when because it takes time. I mean, literally, to invest into doing creativity, arts and crafts or writing or so how do you do it? Because you also have a daughter and a family and, you know, yeah, how do you put that and schedule it or not schedule it? Like how, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's always a toss up because I could be really exhausted. And I think we've talked about like being in creative flow, and I can be really tired, but sometimes it is the writing or the looking in the images that actually helps ground me.
Mm,
So I really see it as my creativity is also a form of self-care.
love that.
Actually, when I'm really nervous and anxious, I crochet. I crochet during meetings. And I don't even know who I'm crocheting for. I ended up making little American Girl doll beanies. My daughter was like, "Mommy, I don't want any more." At like 20.
Oh.
Yeah, but because it's really soothing to my body. It's very rhythmic. It really brings me down. Um, and it's bilateral too.
Right, right.
So that's really soothing. So I know my husband will be like, you're feeling tired. I also suffer from an autoimmune condition, and so he's like, you need to rest. Like no more books,
Hmm.
no more projects. I say, but that's actually a part of my healing. And
Mm.
so sometimes because I have a subscription to a website where I can I license I commercially license images.
Hmm.
And so sometimes I honestly am not even thinking about doing a journal, but I like to go and just look at the images because it's very visually grounding for me.
Mm.
And so I'll just be there looking at images, and then sometimes the ideas will come. But I just really love being kind of immersed in art,
Mhm.
whether I'm looking at it or engaging in it. And then
Mm.
with the writing, like the personal writing, it's more when I'm really going through it. um it's how I process, and I've always done that ever since I was a teenager. Maybe earlier I was writing poetry, I was writing down lyrics. And so writing has also been a way for me to self validate, because I didn't have a lot of that. And so I became my own validator. So I think that's why the journaling and the writing for me to put out there as a form of self-expression is so important, because I know how much it's helped me. But finding the time is really hard. It is really hard. One thing I do is I tend to have like the project open on my computer at all
Like the
times.
tab open. Okay.
Yes, because if I close it, um I feel like it takes the creativity away. So don't get me wrong, like it does take a lot of time. Like my robot calm book, which is a kid's book for anxiety management, that took me more than a year
Mhm.
because I wasn't ready for different parts of it. And so sometimes I'll get an idea, and I'll do 2 pages or just phrases, or maybe I'll just put the pictures that I really like that I want to use, and then come back to it when I'm ready, or when I'm in creative flow, right? So it happens that way.
But what I'm
um
hearing, sorry to
mhm.
interrupt, but what I'm hearing, oh, this is what is resonating. It sounds like when you invest the time in the creativity, then things continue to flow. It's like the
Oh
more
my
that you
gosh,
are
yeah.
there, the more, so it's not necessarily like that extra work because things start to flow, or that's what I'm hearing you say. Things start to flow a little more easily when
Mhm.
you sit down with it or keep it the tab open and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And I think because so I self-publish, and I think because I don't have the worry of a publisher or an editor asking me for stuff. It is on my own timeline, and that actually has been really healing for me too. I'm going at my own pace, at my own time, and it's funny, I was actually just listening to a marketing podcast. I'm not very good at marketing. I'm great at creating, but I'm not good at marketing because I don't like being on a timeline, and I don't like being like, 8 weeks out, and I'm like, oh, I already launched it, I already hit publish, because I'm impatient that way. But that, I think not having a timeline for me personally, it really helps. And then I don't feel pressured, so I don't tend to have creative blocks with my workbooks and journals, because when I'm out of ideas, I put it to rest. I put it to rest. And if I know I don't have capacity, um, I will literally and figuratively close the tab. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the time, and it sounds
I
like we're
know.
almost there. But what I wanted, I feel like this deserves like a part two. So
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
reach out
happy to I'm happy to
because
do it.
there's so many things that I want to like piggyback on, like the creators blogs and all that kind of stuff that you can share. But if somebody is in your journey and trying and they relate with, I'm thinking my sister was so into stationery and she's actually working for Hallmark, not in that area, but as you said that, I put it together. I'm like, okay, I need to text her very soon about this.
That
But
is so
she was a
funny.
stationery person. She was the pen pal person with all the cute little things. And yeah, and she loved going to Hallmark store and getting also the things, but she doesn't work in that department, but she works in the company. But what I wanted to say is, like, for people that are in that journey and they're like, I want to be able, like, to reclaim, because you also mentioned it's part of the healing, what would you tell them? What would be something that you would recommend them?
Honestly, I would say start experimenting and see it just as that. See it as an experiment. For the act of creating it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It just, we're building muscle memory. So start creating, start experimenting, and you don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to post it on the socials. Like, do it for you. I actually also, I think I just moved it. I also have this journal where I would just draw every day. I would just draw just for me, just like I would copy something, and it's my drawing for me journal, like not for anyone else. And I look through it now I'm sometimes with different eyes, and I'm like, that's really pretty. Or my daughter would be like, oh, mommy, that was so beautiful. Or I draw with her.
Oh,
So I think it's in like experimenting and going for it in small ways.
yeah, no, that is really helpful. And there's there's like a little mosquito or something. So there's like this fire round questions. So it's a complete the sentence.
Okay.
So my unique and special gift is
Experimenting and creating.
I
Yeah.
am I am reclaiming.
I am reclaiming joy in the process.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I no longer subscribe to.
Playing small.
There you go. I join you with that one. If my ancestor would speak, they would say,
Oh, I just got chills right now. They would say, welcome home. Bienvenida, mija.
mm, mm, mm. And I know how significant the
Yeah.
voice it is for you as well. So
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
you
Like
there.
welcome home to yourself, or
Yeah.
welcome home to this part.
Mm.
Yeah.
And my wish for you is,
Oh, my wish for you is that you hold yourself with tender, loving care during those times of self-doubt
mm,
and fear. Yeah.
mm. Thank you so much for sharing. Where could people
Yeah.
find, and you have a burnout also course. So I want to like piggyback to that.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah. So I have a burnout recovery course. It's 6 modules and it's self-paced. It's a really great adjunct to therapy, but really anyone who wants to learn more about burnout and how to prioritize themselves. And creativity is a part of it, you know. But that's on my I just launched it. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, people can find me and the course and the books www.mendingrootshealingspaces.com/books for the books /creative mentorship /burnout for the course.
Mm,
And then on
mm,
Instagram as well, Mending Roots Healing Spaces. My therapy IG is Mending Roots Therapy, and my website is Sofia Mendoza, LCSW.com.
and all those links will be here. It
Yeah.
was an honor and a pleasure to share this space with you as always.
Oh, me too. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me. I know. I'm like, what? Time's over.
I know it's over. But
I
I
could talk
think
about this forever.
no, but I honestly think like a whole episode on
Yeah.
creative blocks and writing, as I'm also in my own journey of writing the book, which
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the editor to send me back the approval so I can write. That's another story. But that part of like being
Yeah.
able, because I know a lot of people would enjoy that.
Yeah,
So
and I do. I have a lot of really great tips that I share with my mentees that I've done myself. And again, everyone's so different, but I have like a big list so that anyone can pick different things from there. Experiment, right? Experiment with different things.
lovely, lovely. Again, it was an honor, a pleasure. Everyone, please go and follow Sofia. Go and check all her stuff. And if there's anything about that creative mentorship, she's the person to go to, definitely. So
You.
until next time, see everyone.
Bye.
Bye.